feels, how he responds, how he feels at halftime, and then kind of be flexible and adjust from there. But getting him back is a boost, but right now it's not. It's really the icing on the cake, if you were, the cherry on top,
right,
if he's able to play and be productive.
And remember, this will only be his third career playoff game. Game 1 of the NBA Finals, assuming he plays.
Yeah, and this is a tough place to be dropped off in to start to start your comeback and from an injury. However, I think the thing that he really needs to focus on and concentrate on is what can he do on the defensive side of the ball. Because offensively, he'll find ways to score. But I think when he comes into the game, like all of us as former players, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to challenge him defensively to see what he can do, see if he can move, and then we're going to put him in a lot of pick and roll situations to see how well he moves in and out of pick and rolls. And if he can't handle pick and rolls, then that's going to be a difficult position for him to come back in and try to play on the defensive side of the ball, Charles.
And I 100% agree with Isiah. I think he's going to struggle defensively. Number one, when he was healthy, he wasn't good defensively against the pick and roll. And now you got Marc Gasol, who's setting that pick with Kawhi, and he's going to be stepping out here to shoot threes. So I think this is a very difficult situation for him to come back. Probably the worst situation. He probably would like to play against guys who go down on the post and just beat the hell out of each other.
Right.
But the Raptors don't play like that. They're going to put him in a lot of pick and rolls. I think it's just going to be a very difficult series for him personally.
Could also affect Gasol's minutes. A lot of people think this is more of an Ibaka series for the Raptors than a Gasol series because Golden State tends to play small. We'll see how it affects his minutes here as well.
No, actually, actually, I think the other way around when they talk about DeMarcus, because if you put Gasol in there, that won't be an advantage for the Raptors in the pick and roll. To make them to switch the big guys against little guys, that would be a bigger advantage. If you put Ibaka in the pick and roll, they might switch that because it would be trying to Draymond or one of those other guys would try to guard Kawhi, but you want that mismatch with Gasol in the pick and roll.
And the other thing that Gasol does, and you know this, Charles and Grant, he's a competitor.
Yes.
I mean, and he's heard everybody saying that he's not a good matchup. He's not going to play that much. I can guarantee you Gasol's three-point game is going to be on point tonight.
And he's been their best three-point shooter in the playoffs, percentage-wise.
No question. But it's interesting to your point with the mismatches. What I didn't see in that last series when they did have switches, I didn't see him go down and post up.
Right.
And I saw him pretty much stay and hover around the perimeter and shoot three-pointers and not take advantage of those mismatches when he has a smaller guy. We know Golden State likes to switch. It'll be interesting to see now if he can take advantage of those matchups.
I want to get to Kevin Durant. If I tell you sitting here today that Kevin Durant is not going to play in this series, how does that change your perception of who wins and how many games it takes?
Well, I honestly, and like I say, I don't have anything. I don't know anything. I think the Warriors are lying. I don't think Kevin Durant is going to play personally. I'd be totally surprised if he came back and played.
I would too.
He's not even practicing yet, and that's the thing they just came up with. You have to be able to run to play basketball. So I don't think Kevin Durant is going to play this series at all. That's my personal opinion. Don't have any inside information. I'm just guessing at it.
I believe defense wins, and if Durant is not playing, Toronto has been the best defensive team in the playoffs, and I think their defense will carry the day. Defense wins championships. They have 6 guys on the Toronto Raptors that have been first or second team all defense. And then they have 2 guys in terms of Kawhi Leonard and also Gasol who have been defensive player of the year. So defensively, when Clay or Steph is off the court, I think Golden State could really struggle. And Toronto's defense, I think, would carry the day.
Well, I think, first of all, I don't think Golden State is necessarily lying, but I think it's a wait-and-see approach. And I do agree that if you're not running at this point, the transition from running to individual work to going one-on-one to playing in 5-on-5 setting, there's not enough time for him to get back, I think, before Game 7. So I think that's one thing. And I think it does affect in terms of the outcome, or at least how I predicted things to go. Now,
that's not what all these fools on TV been saying the last week. Stop it, Grant. I'm not saying you.
No, I'm saying.
You're on TV right now.
No, but I'm saying it's been fascinating for me watching these idiots on television talking about how good the Warriors are without Kevin Durant. anybody who thinks the Warriors are not better without Kevin Durant just don't know anything about basketball.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I'm with you on that.
It really drives me crazy. You got guys saying, well, this is Kevin Durant's worst nightmare, that the Warriors are winning without him, and what does this do to his legacy? I mean, that's just idiotic and asinine for guys to say that. Kevin Durant is one of the 2 or 3 best players in the world. But I want to say, y'all don't get to use that as an excuse if the Raptors win this series now. You didn't say it Game 6 against the Rockets and when they swept the Blazers. So if the Raptors win this series, they were just a better team, period.
So 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, 1. No. I think Golden State still wins this. I see you, Big Shaq. I think Golden State wins this in 7. I think they still win it without Kevin Durant if he doesn't play.
And Steve Kerr said yesterday, Kevin Durant has not even done individual court work, and he's got to do that before he practices, and he's got to practice before he's going to play. So we're a ways away from seeing him.
I like that, Grant.
I feel your pain, Big Shaq. I feel your pain, Big Shaq.
Listen, Matt didn't ask me and Isaiah who we picking in the series.
Not yet.
It's
early in the show. We got a long way to go.
Grant went out on a limb already.
You guys said the Raptors were going to win.
No, he haven't asked us yet.
We got like 48 minutes left with you guys.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Come on, see that? Grant, you're not going to make it in TV business. You don't waste all your good stuff in the first 10 minutes of the show.
I'm just in the middle.
Hey, man.
Come on, man. You hold that to the end
Shaq,
of the movie.
I feel you, Shaq.
I'm just here so I won't get fired.
Hey, way to tell the plot of the movie in the beginning, Grant.
You just said Toronto was going to win.
No, I didn't. No, he hasn't asked me who I thought was going to win.
But you said it in the answer.
Well, yeah, I do. I know I'm saying that if they win. No, I said if they win the series.
I think you said if. I think you did say if.
I don't. But since you asking me, I'm gonna ruin the movie too. Yes, I'm taking. I'm taking the Toronto Raptors. We the North.
There goes the final segment, but we'll adjust between now and then. Just getting started here from Toronto. Much more on the way, including LaForce's conversation with Kawhi Leonard.
That's going to be a good conversation.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger? Toronto has won!
After the Game 7 buzzer beater, you got a little emotional. What led to the emotion in that moment?
The actual winning the game. I mean, didn't have to go to overtime, making a game-winning shot and being able to move on to the Eastern Finals. That's what.
And in Toronto, the franchise in November of 1993. That was 12 days after Joe Carter hit his World Series winning walk-off home run.
Yeah.
That is the last time this city has hosted a championship round of any sort in the Big Four North American leagues. You were here from the beginning as the general manager, the first GM in the history of this franchise. What do you think of today as we sit here now for Game 1 of the NBA Finals in Toronto?
You know, Matt, as one of the founding partners and founding members of this organization, the foundation that we laid for generations to follow and generations to come. I mean, it's truly been remarkable to see the work that everybody put in, and everybody gets a chance to celebrate it now. And you got to give Isiah a lot of credit for putting the capstone on everything, putting together this team. But the foundation that everybody put in terms of the hard work, I mean, from Herbie, the announcer, to Ryan, the mascot, to Tamara, who led our dance pack, to Damon Stoudemire, who will be here, our first rookie of the year. I mean, those were all pillars in terms of what people saw every night. So people getting a chance to really celebrate and be a part of this. I'm honored to be a part of it. So it's really been a great journey for all of us.
It's got to be nostalgic for you, and it's great for the city. I sort of feel the same way I did about the Warriors when the finals came there in 2015. They had great fans for so many years, even when the team was bad. And that's been the case here as well. And they're finally being rewarded with an NBA Finals. And they've been rewarded by Kawhi Leonard also all season.
It's one person that I have to mention, and that's John Bateau, who was the owner. And I get credit for the vision, but it was he and I in terms of a vision together. We started at Indiana University, then we came here to Toronto, and we talked about everything that we wanted to do. So everything that he said that he wanted to do. And we were only 32 and 33 years old at that time. So big respect and big props to John Vital.
Well, it was Isiah Ujiri had the vision to bring Kawhi Leonard here, a risk-reward deal last summer you guys talked about a little bit. He has the best net rating of any player left in the playoffs right now. He scored more points than anybody in the playoffs right now. He has carried this team to this point. What do they need from him to win this series?
I mean, he just needs to continue to do what he's done the entire postseason. I mean, he's been the most dominant player. You know, with all due respect, obviously Durant got hurt, but how he has played, how he has lifted this team, this franchise, they look to him for confidence, for belief. And the Sixers series, this last series against Milwaukee on both sides of the basketball, you know, I've been a fan and been in the league for you know, been around it for many years, and I don't know if I've seen a performance like this on both sides and what he's done for this franchise. So he just has to go out and continue to be Kawhi Leonard and obviously empower his teammates and let them feed off of him. And, you know, they have a realistic chance because of that man right there and his play.
I assume you guys agree he's the best two-way player in the league right now. So I'll ask you,
no
is
question.
he more important in this series as a closer for them or as a defender?
Actually, neither. What I mean by that, Matt, is when you're that guy, you have to will your team. And like I say, it's different every night. Some nights he's going to have to score. Some nights he's going to have to be a defender. When you're that guy, everybody feeds off you. The difference between a star and a superstar, these guys both been superstars. Like, everybody's like, they're following your lead. They're following your lead. You don't even have to say it. If you're down, they're down. And what he does, he gives them supreme confidence. And like I say, I'm going to say something that I'm uncomfortable saying, but I want to say it because it's true. He reminds me of my first year in Phoenix. Because Phoenix Lionel Hollins said, we're not going to win this thing unless we go out and get us to Charles Barkley. And the Suns made the trade for me. Because they got in there every year, but they couldn't get over the hump. And the Suns traded for me. And the one thing, when I got there, I gave those guys that confidence, like, no, we're good. We got a chance every night. And that's what Kawhi does. Like I say, it's not about me, but I want to make the point. I feel the same way about these Raptors. When you bring a guy like that, the rest of those guys are like, oh, we're good.
Right.
Because they feed off him. And I felt like the exact same way when I got traded to Phoenix. I said, hey, guys, we're going to the finals. And I said, I couldn't beat Michael Jordan, but I'm saying we got a chance every day. When you have a superstar, he gives you that confidence, like we had a best player or close to the best player on the court every night. And that's a whole different psyche. Isiah can speak to that.
He's a safety net for them.
100%. And you hit it right on the head when you talked about the confidence that he brings every single night. So what will he bring tonight is that he's been here before. Mm-hmm. He's been the finals MVP before, and he knows how to beat this Golden State team. The last time he faced this Golden State team, he was up 23 or 25 in the third.
Yes.
That's the last time they've seen each other in this type of situation. So he walks out with supreme confidence, knowing that, okay, I know how to play against this team. So the other players will feed off of him, just like they fed off of you in Phoenix.
You know, Toronto has relied primarily on defense in this postseason. These two teams are kind of the exact opposites in terms of their rankings defensively and offensively in the playoffs so far. The question for me has always been, where does the other offense come reliably for the Raptors in this series moving forward?
I think Danny Green is going to have a lights-out series. He didn't shoot the ball well the last series.
31% for the postseason so far from three.
Yeah, and he's a competitor. He knows how to play in the finals. He's made big shots in the finals. I think he steps up big, and I think Serge Ibaka steps up big also, because Serge played against this Golden State team at OKC, also was in the finals, so forth and so on. So I look at those three guys as redeeming themselves from the last series from a shooting and scoring standpoint to come back in this series and have a good shooting series.
And they need Green on the floor for his defense as well. But remember in 2013, he set an NBA Finals record. He hit 27 threes in that series. He's hit 27 threes in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs here so far. At some point, he's got to get going.
Yeah, law of percentages, he's bound to start hitting some shots. And the interesting thing was he had open shots. He had good shots.
Yeah.
He had his shots. He just couldn't convert. And so for a shooter, all it takes is seeing the ball go through the basket a few times. We saw that with Van Vliet in the last series, and he's more than capable, as we talked about, being on this stage and playing and making big shots and having a big moment in the finals. So Danny Green must play better, and I think he will. I believe he will play better, but I think it's not just one. It's a collective effort. Isaiah talked about Ibaka, and he's talking about Danny Green. Everyone's going to have to play well, and I think they will play well. I think they'll step up to the challenge and play well and complement Kawhi Leonard out there on the court.
And I think the one thing we can't underestimate, there's a lot of pressure off these guys.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of pressure because, we were talking earlier, they rolled the dice and they won. This team had to get to the finals to have a successful season.
They've already cashed that bet.
They've cashed that bet.
Yeah.
So now they're playing with house money. I know that sounds strange when you're playing for the championship. Somebody's got something to lose, but there's got to be a sense of relief on these guys. And like I say, I think their role players are going to play a lot better. I agree with these guys on Danny Green, but they need Van Vliet to keep doing this thing. Ibaka, Gasol. There's one guy that we haven't got the word on yet. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Anunoby.
OG Anunoby.
Yes, and he's been practicing.
Yep.
And he'd be a really good.
Anunoby is out tonight.
He's out tonight, so he's not playing. But listen, to me, this is going to be a series of role players because Kawhi's going to do his thing. Klay and Steph going to do their things. Who's going to step up and score for the Warriors? Who they got to score. I mean, you give Klay and Steph 30-30, that ain't going to get it done.
Yeah.
These other guys, the bench got to keep playing well for the Warriors, but also, listen, you go back and look at the last 4 games. These boys from Toronto, they bench has stepped up and played fantastic. That's why they won 4 games in a row.
Yep.
They were all 4 games, 1 and 2 against Milwaukee, and we said, is Kawhi going to get any help? And he's got help 4 games in a row, and they got to keep it going.
How about this guy offensively tonight?
He's capable of scoring, and he'll score in the low post. He may make a few jump shots, but at the end of the day, his stamina will not allow him to play 35, 32 minutes.
Right.
So I think when he comes in, will he be the focus of the offense, and will he score? And if he can't score, then defensively he could be a liability.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy's been out for almost 2 months here, and so you can't simulate. This time of year, you don't practice. You're not going to get to simulate the practice and all the rhythm and timing and the conditioning, as Isaiah talked about. So he's not going to be the DeMarcus Cousins that we saw earlier this year and what we expect from him. But, it's going to be interesting to see because you're right. The rhythm, the timing, the way he plays is very different than what they have in terms of their big. So do you try to establish him? Defensively is not his strong point.
Right.
So maybe him not. It's just going to be an interesting balance how Steve Kerr manages that with DeMarcus Cousins and what he can give if he can give anything.
This isn't a March game in Cleveland, right? I mean, this is game 1 of the NBA Finals. You can't tinker around with this too much. Much more coming up here from Toronto as we set up game 1
let me tell
tonight.
you something.
I'm telling you, the ball movement.
Let me tell you something.
Look at that ball movement.
Hey, first of all, the ball's at the damn top of the key. All you got to do is stand in the lane. They ain't going nowhere. Are you kidding me? Why are these guys out here?
We the North. Chuck, you out there, Chuck?
We the North, baby. We the North.
I thought we from Alabama.
No, we from Alabama, but we moving to Canada.
Over Orlando. He has since closed his mouth and moved on to the NBA Finals. He's also slowly making his way through the 2003 NBA champions San Antonio Spurs. He beat Brett Brown and the 76ers in round 2. Mike Budenholzer and the Bucks, they were both assistants under Greg Popovich, beat Coach Bud and the Bucks in the conference finals. And now he's going after Steve Kerr, who won one of his 5 championship rings as a player for that Spurs team back in 03. Ali LaForce was not part of that Spurs group 16 years ago, but Nick Nurse is interacting with her as well.
Coach, it's exciting every time you hear it. For the first time, this country gets to see the Raptors in the NBA Finals. Yep. How have you and this team embraced how big this moment is, but also not allow it to get too big for this team?
Well, we're going to find out, right? We certainly are happy for our city and our fans and our country, really, in Canada. Everybody's excited. But I think for me, I'm excited to get out there and compete. I mean, this is awesome to be able to compete at this level. There's a million things happening out on the floor. all really fast. And that's really exciting when you're a coach to get out there and try to change matchups and change coverages and try to figure out this fast-paced chess game. It's really fun.
I know it's the franchise's first time in the finals, but you have several players on this team who have finals experience and playoff experience against the Warriors. How valuable has that been leading up to this point, and how valuable do you think it'll be?
Well, I think it's been valuable for us in the standpoint that our team's been really even-keeled through these playoffs, right? And I think we've haven't had a ton of time together really with some mid-season trades and some new acquisitions, to start the year. So this postseason has been really valuable for us to kind of grow and get better, and it really feels like we have. But alluding to my first point, we just we got behind in a series and we just kind of felt like it was okay, and we were going to fight our way out of it and keep battling, and that's the biggest thing that the experience has shown.
Well, just on the lighter side, Drake's been good at poking the bear, but the Warriors aren't a bear you want to poke necessarily. Have you talked to him about toning it down a little bit?
No, he'll be all right. He's good. He's a huge fan. I mean, I know it looks like he's a big fan, but that's like all legit in his heart. He's like a little kid fan for the Raptors. It's great.
You have to respect that. Well, thank you, Coach. Wishing you the best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, Ellie, thank you very much. There are a bunch of different paths to get to the NBA Finals. How about the contrast in career resumes between Steve Kerr, remember, played at Arizona, played the Final Four, 8 rings as a player and a coach. Everything he touches turns to gold. Nick Nurse played at Northern Iowa, went on to play professionally as a player coach for something called the Derby Storm, then was coaching in the G League for 6 seasons, won championships with 2 different teams before landing as an assistant coach here in Toronto, and now in his rookie season as an NBA head coach here in the NBA Finals.
You see that stint with the Suns on Steve Kerr, that's when Grant got him fired.
Steph Curry still seeking the elusive Finals MVP, not to mention another champion.
Great moment in the finals, yeah. I thought he did well last year, played very well, his best finals up to date, but Kevin Durant was just better, got the MVP. Durant's not here. He's going to have to be great for the Warriors to have a chance here in this series. And the way he has played, as you said, Matt, he's coming in with a lot of momentum right now, a lot of confidence. It'll be interesting to see how Toronto defends the great Steph Curry.
I love the way Steph has been playing, and he's healthy, he's rested, and I think he's going to put on a show here in Toronto. I mean, he's one that's also coming back home.
Yep.
And he spent a lot of time here, won championships in high school here. So he wants to play well here. I think he will play well. And I just think he's going to put on a fantastic shooting performance in these finals.
For those of you who don't know, Del Curry played his final 3 seasons here in Toronto, and Steph led Queensway Christian College Middle School to an undefeated season back then.
Yeah. Well, listen, I said on television last week, when we start talking about the great players in the NBA, we go way down the line before we get to Steph. He really put his name back in that conversation, because we says Giannis, Kawhi, LeBron, KD, James Harden. And I said, hey, after watching this guy against the Trailblazers, after going back to Game 6, I'm like, hey, he's in that conversation. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's accomplished. Because, listen, I didn't think they could beat the Rockets. I did not think that once KD got hurt. And he proved me wrong. And I thought the Blazers had a good chance, and he proved me wrong. So the kid is spectacular. But like I say, he's going to have to be spectacular if they're going to win this series. I mean, if you look at their team, no disrespect, they only got 2 guys out there that can score. They only got 2 guys.
Well, they can score a lot, Charles.
Yeah, I know. But Isiah, that piggybacks my point. They're going to have to score a lot.
Yeah.
Because, Kawhi's going to get his 30. I'm pretty sure about that. And his guys got I'm telling you, the key of this series is going to be guys coming off the bench, because the Warriors, their bench has been fabulous. I gave them some love last week. The role players from the Raptors have been fabulous the last 4 games. The role players are going to win this series, in my opinion.
They have been the most efficient offense in the postseason so far among all the playoff teams. Toronto's really good defensively. They got a bunch of long bodies they can throw at Steph and Clay. How do they go about dealing with him in particular?
Well, when you talk about, stopping Steph, I mean, the way he moves without the basketball, and not only the way he moves without the basketball, his patience and his shot selection, has been outstanding. I really do think that, he's going to play well. every time there's been a big moment in his career, every time when he's been questioned, he's always stepped up and met the challenge. And when I look at Steph and I look at Klay, I do not see any fear in these two guys. You know, we used to say, oh, they hard pump Kool-Aid about some guys who get scared in the finals, Chuck.
Nothing wrong with Kool-Aid.
I don't see Steph. I don't see Steph or Klay ever backing down.
Yeah.
And in pressure moments, Steph, Klay always show up and they always perform and they play well. So Toronto better be ready to defend because this guy who's shooting behind us, he ready to score.
Well, the other part of the defense is that, you know, so often Golden State thrives on chaos. You know, if it's in transition, an offensive rebound, whatever it is, it's hard to scheme for that.
It really is. And the difference, obviously, going against Golden State versus Milwaukee. Milwaukee put the ball in Giannis's hands, spread the floor, and he tried to get to the basket and get to the rim or find open shooters. Golden State, and I love the term that you used a couple weeks ago to describe their offense.
It's called perfect randomness. Because you can't scheme for that type of randomness that they play with.
And so you have to be disciplined, you have to be alert, you have to be paranoid almost defensively, because you can't diagram or orchestrate sort of how to defend what Golden State does. You don't know what they're going to do. They don't know what they're going to do sometimes.
Right.
But you have to stick to your principles. You have to trust each other. You have to communicate. And you know what? Toronto defensively, I believe they can do that. But guarding him is going to be tough because there's no sort of spots on the floor where he likes to operate. He operates everywhere.
Well, let me say there's two things. Number one, there's nothing wrong with a honey bun and some Kool-Aid.
Strawberry are great.
Both. Strawberry are great. They both amazing. And you know, when I got my allowance, I saved it a couple times. I can get the honey bun with the icing on it, which is ridiculous.
Did it stick to the package?
Oh, yeah. You have to lick the package. Yes, you do. See,
lick the package.
You have to lick the package.
Yeah.
Man, you paid for it. You got to eat it all. Stop it, Grant. Don't act like Grant ain't never been Pope.
Yeah, that's true.
He don't know. No, but you know what's interesting? I said this. The Golden State Warriors are the eighth team, eighth as far as three-point attempts.
Yeah, they're not what people perceive.
There are seven dummies in the NBA, and I call them dummies because they got the three greatest scorers, maybe shooters ever. And if seven teams think they're going to shoot better than the Warriors, they're just dummies. The Warriors be tricking people. They take so many twos. That's what's been interesting, how the rest of the NBA, the Warriors had that one great year when they won shooting jumpers. And now the rest of the NBA has been trying to copy them, and I have no idea why, because you don't never going to have Klay and Steph and Kevin, so why in the world would you do it?
Right.
The Rockets have come close, but they missed 29 in a row when the game was on the line. I think they just trick people. They take more twos than people pay attention to. That's why they're great.
Well, obviously the Splash Brothers attract a lot of attention because of the range, because of their ability from three-point range. But the Warriors take good shots.
That's crazy.
Not just three-point shots; they took good shots.
Man,
and for him, that's a good shot.
Man, I'm telling you, as an opposing point guard getting ready to play against Steph Curry, Charles Grant, if I walked out on the court and I saw the guy that I was getting ready to guard shooting from half court,
with ease,
I mean, you talking about intimidation, and then at the end, just to make sure that he's totally intimidated you, he stops in the tunnel, and then he shoots it from the tunnel. I mean, so that just lets you know that you got to guard him.
We got
that's
him
intimidation.
He just made 3 of those in a row. I mean, that's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Now, imagine if you was guarding him, Chuck.
Well, no, I'm not a defender. Let's don't imagine that. You know, but the thing is, though, as great as shooters they are, they're tricking the rest of the NBA and shooting twos.
Yeah. Right.
And listen, I don't understand that philosophy. I'm not going to fight a guy the way he wants to fight on his strength. I wish teams would say, hey, listen, we don't have those 3 guys. Let's quit shooting so many threes. But the Warriors, they just outsmarting these dumb teams in the NBA, plain and simple.
And Chuck, you said something earlier about, people not having him in that conversation. And I think a lot of that goes to, obviously, the presence of Durant. And Curry doesn't give enough credit for sort of moving aside when Durant came in and letting Durant be comfortable, letting him thrive. Really, look, he was 2-time MVP. They had the winningest record all time.
One unanimous.
they should have won that series against Cleveland. Cleveland came back, was spectacular, but they were up 3-1. And now all of a sudden Durant comes in, and he kind of went out of his way to make Durant feel comfortable. Like, that says a lot about who he is and his character.
I think that Steph Curry and Kawhi Leonard would, in my opinion, be 2 perfect superstars.
Yes.
They never complain.
No ego.
Low maintenance.
There's no drama. And listen,
There was some drama in San Antonio last year.
well, that's an injury thing. What happened? But like
There was a little drama.
Yeah, that wasn't drama. Well, when you got one of the best players in the world not playing, that is drama.
It's dramatic.
But he's back to doing what he does. I just want to play basketball.
Yep.
And Steph, to piggyback on Grant's thing, like, this guy won back-to-back MVPs, and he's like, hey, we got Kevin. I'm good. No drama.
Yeah.
You know, you got all these other great teams break up because these guys can't get along. And these guys like, no, I just want to win, no drama. And it's crazy. It's great.
And you know what, Charles, Grant, what I love is that, Matt, the Warriors have been great ambassadors for the sport. Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, when they have been champions, they have been great champions, great ambassadors on and off the floor in terms of how they've carried themselves, you know, how they've projected the game globally, how they've influenced others. I mean, so when you want champions, and when you talk about champions, these two, in terms of Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, they've been great ambassadors for our sport.
And by the way, if you had forgotten somehow how good Steph Curry was when Durant went down, you reminded everybody, because he's been unbelievable since that time, and obviously against the Portland Trailblazers. Still going through his pregame paces ahead of Game 1 here in Toronto. Honey buns. Yep.
Yes, I do like my honey buns. Warm. Oh, you got Ali up there.
Well, he also talked about Kool-Aid. I mean, it wasn't just honey buns.
Okay, I'm not going to do it. You got Ali up there, who's the greatest. But listen, just watch the show and shut the hell up.
That's, you know what? That's pretty much the tack I try to take.
Coach, you're in your 5th season now as the head coach of the Warriors, making your 5th consecutive trip to the NBA Finals. It's remarkable and, in my opinion, not talked about enough. Does it feel like another day at the office, or is there still a little excitement and anxiousness to all of this?
Oh, there's always butterflies. You know, it never gets old getting to the finals. We have an incredible group, and what they've done to do this 5 years in a row, given how difficult it is, just amazing. So we're thrilled to be here. It does feel different, different city, a different country, and Toronto's a hell of a team, so we're excited about the challenge ahead.
DeMarcus Cousins available for the first time since that quad tear in the first round. What are realistic expectations for his minutes and his role?
Well, he can help us for sure in this series, but you know, his conditioning, his rhythm, those things are question marks. So I would say short burst minutes. We'll pick and choose when we feel like the best time to put him in is, and you know, he's so talented. There's no doubt he can help us win games.
Thanks for that update.
All right, Allie, thank you very much. A live look at Jurassic Park out there.
Oh man,
Where's Chuck?
Where's Chuck? We need to be at Jurassic Park.
You know what? We'll take you out there live after the break. You're going to stay here, Chuck. Don't worry.
Now,
honey buns have been an important topic here tonight in Toronto. Best honey buns ever.
Really?
That's what
is that Canadian?
CB7 says.
Is that a Canadian version? I never heard of
no
Dutchess.
idea.
Hey, brother.
You know, you've heard of them all.
340 calories.
I don't know. They could be Canadian. I don't know.
Hey, listen. Nobody can stop me from liking honey buns.
Are you guys aware of the Game 1 history of these two teams? This is just the last 5 years. All-time Toronto is 3-15 in Game 1s of playoff series at any round, while the Warriors have won 12 in a row Game 1s, 18-1 under Steve Kerr. Does that mean anything tonight?
No. They've never played each other. Listen.
And you were going to say that.
No. These guys know every series and every game is his own thing. I mean, it's so funny how this thing works. I'm talking to all these people, and they're telling me about, like, 3 weeks ago, Milwaukee lost Game 1 to Boston, and that series was over.
Right.
That same week, Toronto was down 2-1 with Game 4 in Philly.
Yep.
So the Warriors swept the Trailblazers, who was the hottest team in the West. They beat a great Denver team and beat a good Oklahoma City team. So, Matt, every game is his own thing.
Yeah, and I think Toronto, wins tonight at home in Game 1. And you put up that 18-1 number, and sometimes those numbers start to work against you. There's only so long you can have the streak, and then at some point
Eventually
in
it's
time,
going to end. Sure.
What game did they lose? Can you find somebody to find out?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, they lost to
Which game
Cleveland
did
in
they lose?
2015 in Game 1, right?
No.
No.
That's part of the 12 straight.
I think it was 06.
Oh, 06.
OKC.
Oh, 09.
OKC, okay.
Series. That's
Well,
what
look,
it was.
Yeah, 06. It was 06 OKC, right?
I agree with Isiah. Big picture. It's the 5th finals in a row for Golden State. They needed that 9 days off, but they're going to be rusty. Toronto's been playing.
That is a question.
They
That's a
have
serious
some
question.
rhythm.
There you go again.
It's one of the longest
I
layoffs
still
ever.
think Golden State will win the
before the
series. To
finals.
your point, it doesn't matter who wins Game 1 because each game is a separate game. But I think Toronto has a chance to win this game here.
It is one of the longest layoffs ever between
Yeah.
the conference finals and an NBA
I don't
finals.
flip-flop,
For any
Chuck.
team.
88.
I didn't flip-flop.
No, Charles, 88,
You're Toronto
we
all
go
the
to
way.
the finals. The Lakers had, I think, an 8 or 9 day layoff. We go to LA and we beat them in Game 1. Now, we were better than them at the time, but they still had to lay off and we won.
I think.
Let me interrupt for just a second. We're going to go inside in just a moment. Adam Silver is going to have his pre-finals press conference. We'll take coverage of that. We can keep talking until then. Guy, I want to get you kind of gave us predictions at the beginning of the show, but very quickly I want to hear from each of you who wins this series.
Go ahead, Grant.
Well, I'll say it again. I think Golden State will ultimately prevail. Their experience. They may start slow here in Game 1, but I think ultimately they will win this series 6 or 7 games.
I got the Raptors in 6.
I got the Raptors also. We the North, Matt.
In how many games?
I don't know about. I want to say 5.
Say it.
Say it.
If you want to say it, say it.
Raptors in 5.
There you have it. Here's the commish, Adam Silver.
Phone over, and as always, name and affiliation, please. So we'll start with the commissioner. Adam?
Thank you, Tim, and thank you all for being here. Congratulations, of course, to the Raptors and the Golden State Warriors. This is a homecoming of sorts for basketball in Canada. Of course, Dr. Naismith was Canadian from the province of